Welcome back to another week of Fridays in the Field, brought to you by FNBO, the great big small bank. We've circled back near around Henderson with our grower, Matt Hiebner. And Matt, I was kind of a liar this last time. I said we'd catch you on the combine. You're not quite there yet. What have you been up to since the last time we talked?
Well, a whole lot of the same. We finished up irrigating probably a week and a half ago, I believe. Ran our last circle, and then we caught a nice inch to 2.5 inch rain. So that really finished us off nice, and the corn has really taken that in and used it. The fields have dried up in the last, I believe it's been about 4 days since it rained. And so that corn's still using moisture and picking it up and just not black layering. So hopefully that means it's packing on the pounds. We're awful close. Yeah, we're just been finishing up, getting equipment ready and getting the bins ready. Had some big projects there this year, and yeah, just getting the itch.
Yeah. Hurry up and wait, it sounds like.
Yep.
Let's talk about your corn. You mentioned still filling out, working on drying down. The month of August, though, is pretty dry. This last rain we got last week with that cooler weather. Maybe talk about the month of August and what that looked like for you.
Yeah, well, like you said, August was pretty dry. We pretty much were a circle a week type deal, just making sure the corn had plenty of moisture. Everything looked really, really phenomenal until as like the 20th of August or so, we caught a few days of really hot, dry weather, and all of our dry land pivot corners and a little bit of dry land we have looked really good up until that point. And then in like those 3 days, all of a sudden it was like, oh boy, we might be harvested in 2 weeks and we're still not harvested. So that was kind of interesting to see this year. Just the fact that the humidity really does have the ability to feed the corn, because we hadn't got much moisture up until that point. Yeah, it was kind of the same way on the bean fields around here. The dry land turned really quick, probably 3 or 4 weeks ago already. And then now the irrigated is, the 2-4s are probably gonna, guys are hoping to harvest them the end of this week, first of next week, or try and get started on it. With the haze we've had from the fires out west, I think that's slowed us down a little bit this week probably. But the bean fields are definitely starting to turn, and guys are trying to find spots they can pick.
Yeah, ready to go. You mentioned beans, and you do grow them, but you won't be harvesting them this year. I like to ask you about intercropping. And the last time we talked, they were already pretty big, just continuing to grow. You'll have to run them down. Talk to us about that. Kind of give us an update on your intercropping.
Yeah, so I haven't been out there for a couple weeks now, but I was out there about 2 weeks ago, I believe, and the beans had started to really mat down. And I know at one point I could find some that were 3 or 4 foot tall, and now when I went out there, even though they were that tall, they were all kind of laid down, and it shouldn't be any problem for harvest. I'm guessing if I went out there now, they'll be turning and probably hardly any leaves left on them. They were pretty, they didn't get a whole lot of leaf growth on them to begin with. They were mostly stems. I think they were looking for sunlight. A few pods, probably 5 to 10 pods per plant at, I think it was about 70,000 plants, 70,000 an acre is what we ended up with. So yeah, I don't think that we'll have any volunteer beans or anything like that next year, just because I don't think they had the ability to fill out. But I guess we'll have to see when it comes next spring.
So obviously harvest really is. I don't think I'll be made a liar next time. You will be harvesting the next and probably last time we get to visit with you. You mentioned wet corn, and then you'll just get into the rest of your fields, kind of lay out what the next month looks like for you.
Yeah, well, hoping to do some test runs next week sometime. Probably just go around and pick some end rows and a little bit of dry land we got. Kind of get the slow stuff out of the way to start with is our game plan, the slow and far away fields, so that way as we near the end of harvest and the dryers are able to keep up with us better, then we can keep them fuller and really maximize efficiency that way. So yep, usually start close to home and make sure everything works, and then go far away and work back close to home. So yeah, and then it's a game of who's going to show up today to help too. Yeah. So that it all just depends on the day. But hopefully we'll have a good rest of September here and October, and get, I think, a lot. If we have good weather, a lot of the crops should be able to be mostly out by the end of October around here. Everybody pretty well has dryers and the capacity to do that, so it'll be a crazy month.
Okay, we will catch up with Matt on the combine next time. I can almost guarantee that. From near Henderson, that's another week of Fridays in the Field.